What's going on, everyone? So the Golden State Warriors are already off to a rough start to the season. The season hasn't even begun. Training camp hasn't even done. Media day is tomorrow. And Draymond Green is already hurt. So the Golden State Warriors star, Draymond Green, confirmed he suffered a sprained left ankle and is expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks. That is not good. He said, "I dodged a bullet and learned that today. By the way, it's reacting." Even with an MRI, you don't see the trend of it immediately. The swelling is down. Draymond is, he's the leader. He's in many ways their engine, their toughness, their identity. He's a big factor in peace for the Golden State Warriors, right? He's not the guy he once used to be, but he's still very important. Very important for the Golden State Warriors. I feel like a lot of people really undervalue how big of an impact Draymond Green has on the Warriors. Even Warrior fans, I think, undervalue the impact that Draymond Green has on the Warriors. Like, I think you could lose Clay and be fine. I think losing Draymond Green would hurt, right? I mean, Draymond is just that important and significant for what that team does. Now, luckily, it's 4 to 6 weeks. He didn't break it or anything like that. Like you said, he's good news. He can kind of rest, take it easy. But like, this is the time in which you're supposed to be the healthiest, right? Like, you don't get healthier than the start of the season. You're usually ready to go, and especially the trend the last few years with Draymond Green and training camps, right? I mean, beating up Jordan Poole, and now he's not even going to be able to compete in training camp and very likely going to miss the start of the season. I mean, if he misses 6 weeks, right? So it's going to be very interesting with Draymond Green. Now, obviously, you lucked out because you still have, 3 weeks, 4 weeks before the actual season, right? You're only like a week away from preseason, but you by the time he's ready to come back, you'll only be like 5 games into the season, so it's not a huge deal. It's not something that's like, oh no, it's time to panic. But does this become a persistent issue throughout the course of the season? Is this something that they're going to have to keep an eye on and watch? The Warriors, they have a lot of mileage, right? And they're only getting older. Their guys are only getting older. And you've seen the last few years with Draymond and Clay and Steph and these guys having a lot of injury issues. And then you go and get Chris Paul, which to me doesn't really make a lot of sense. But nonetheless, you went and got Chris Paul, and he's a guy that has injury issues and problems. And it's like your 4 main guys all could miss half the season and it wouldn't be a shock or surprise. Like, that's not good. And you're already seeing the injury issues and woes and the injury bug. And I mean, they had the injury bug last year and the year before that. And it's just like, Warriors really underachieved last year. Now, they did win a championship, yesterday. So it's not like it's something that it's, and the Warriors are one of those teams that you can never count out. But they don't have size. They don't have a center. Like, I don't know what the Warriors' plan is this year. Like, I just don't. I don't really see them being significant. Like, I would be shocked if they make it out of the first round this year, depending on the matchup. Because very likely the first round, they're probably playing either the Suns, the Nuggets, or the Lakers. I don't see the Warriors beating either team in the first round. Maybe they play somebody else. Maybe they play like the Kings or, the Clippers or something like that. Maybe they could beat one of those teams. I don't think they could beat the Clippers. The Kings, they beat them last year, but that was close and tough. And what happens if De'Aaron Fox doesn't get hurt? I don't know if they beat them, right? And now they're going to have another year of experience, right? Like, I don't know. I don't see the clear-cut direct. I understand them getting off of Jordan Poole, right? It almost felt like it was something that had to happen, that needed to be done. But I don't think, Chris Paul was the guy that made sense. I think, if anything, they should have went and got a center, right? Like, the Pacers weren't interested, right? Like, could you have gotten Miles Turner, maybe something like that, like, and enticed them on that, right? Even if you had to give up like Kuminga, Miles Turner with Steph and Clay and Dre and like, stop, right? Like, you if you would have had a starting five of Steph, Clay, Wiggins, Draymond, and Miles Turner, right? Like, I don't know. I feel like you're telling me they couldn't have gotten more for Jordan Poole. That didn't make a lot of sense to me. Chris Paul, like, where does he fit? You're gonna be you're gonna be so tiny. It's not even funny. Like, they don't have a guy over like 6'9". Right? Like, how do you match up against some of these teams? Steph Curry basically had to carry the Warriors last season. Now you're asking him to do it again this season. Now look, Chris Paul does fix a couple of the big issues for the Warriors, right? Like turnovers. Warriors love to turn the ball over. Also, I think he'll be a bit of a stabilizer and consistency, right? But Jordan Poole, I mean, he was huge for them offensively. You know, his Jordan Poole's upside with the Warriors was far greater game in and game out than Chris Paul's is. Like, there was always the looming threat of Jordan Poole just going off for 30 or 40, right? Where like Chris Paul, you don't really have to worry about that. How many minutes does he play? How does that look? Right? Now you have Draymond already hurt and injured. You know, like, I still would. I wouldn't be like super shocked, but I'm a little surprised if maybe a little more than my point is I would be surprised if Chris Paul is on the roster past the trade deadline. I wouldn't be surprised if they trade him for Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday at least makes a little more sense. Gives you some defense. But even then, like, I think the last thing they need is a guard, right? Like, go get a center. Do what you do and give up whatever you need to give up to go get some size, some center. Because if the Warriors run into the Lakers, they're screwed, right? They couldn't beat the Lakers last season because of the lack of size. And the Lakers are bigger this year, and the Warriors are smaller this year. So it's like, I don't see them beating them. They're not going to be able to beat Denver. Phoenix, with them, it would just be a shootout. But Nurk can abuse them, right? Like, I mean, you're talking about a starting five where, you know, like, you're running Chris Paul, Steph, Clay, Wiggins, and Draymond. So you basically have a 6'6" guy at center. Like, your tallest guy is Andrew Wiggins in your starting unit. Because according to the Warriors, Chris Paul's supposed to start, right? So what? Are you bringing Clay off the bench? Are you bringing Draymond off the bench and starting Looney? Maybe. Okay, but even then, like, it's not something that I don't see where the Warriors have success this year. I just don't. You know, and look, maybe I'll eat my words. You know, maybe I'll look silly and this video will age poorly. It's very possible. I mean, every year it's the Warriors. The Warriors were like the Patriots of the past, right? It's like every time you think Patriots are done, Tom Brady's done, boom, they win another Super Bowl. Same thing with the Warriors. Like, every time the Warriors look like that's it, they're done, it's a wrap, boom, they win another championship. Like, again, I wouldn't be shocked just because of their track record. I just don't see it. Draymond's not the same guy. Clay's not the same guy. Chris Paul makes no sense to me. They have zero size, and Steph Curry's going to have to do absolutely everything. And he's only getting older, and looks like he's getting worn down. Draymond's already fallen apart, and the season hasn't even begun. It's just, I don't know. It's not a good look. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? This is bad news for the Warriors? Do you think, no, it doesn't matter. It's too early to where when he does return, it'll only be a couple games missed, if that. But again, it's just, I question if this is the precursor to their season, right? With essentially a roster full of injury-prone players. That's something that I have real, genuine concern with. But, Draymond, again, he's a huge factor, a huge piece. and he's already been dealing with, little injuries here and there, especially last season. Like, if that happens this year, I don't know if the Warriors could stay afloat, right? Like, I still think they're a top 6 team in the West, but I think they're towards the bottom of those top 6. So I don't see them finishing. I mean, again, I wouldn't even be surprised if they're a play-in team when all is said and done and this isn't working. I'd be shocked if Chris Paul is on the roster come trade deadline. Just, I don't know, it's a bit of a mess. Bit of a mess for the Warriors. But again, do you feel the same way? Do you not think it's all good? What do you think where the Warriors land? You think they're 6 seed? Do you think they're 1 seed? Somewhere in between? Do you think that they can win the championship this year? Love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments.